メジャー翻訳速報。
メジャー翻訳速報海外の反応へようこそ。菅野投手が見事なスプリッターで8奪三振の好投を見せ、オリオールズが4-3で勝利。ヤンキースの若手投手ウォーレンはピンチを切り抜ける場面もありましたが、3回にオハーンにスリーランを打たれ、悔しい敗戦となりました。菅野投手のスプリッターの切れ味には驚きましたね。この試合の詳細を翻訳でこれからたっぷりとお伝えしますので、ぜひコメントで皆さんの感想も教えてください。チャンネル登録もお忘れなく。
With your first to three in the books at Camden Yards, and the Orioles win it 4-3. They score early, Yankees score late, trying to rally, but Jack couldn't get enough traction early against Tomoyuki Sugano. What did you see there? Hyundai opening comment.
I would describe this as an irritating loss for the Yankees because of what you just said. They couldn't figure out Sugano. He came into this game as not being a strikeout pitcher. He ends up striking out 8. He got 17 swings and misses. And then on the Yankees side of things, I think Will Warren had good stuff tonight, but he got himself in trouble with a couple of walks. And then after trying to get O'Hearn with a couple of changeups, he leaves a sweeper in a spot that O'Hearn takes it out of the ballpark. And the Yankees tried to come back from that 4-0 deficit. They did mount a rally and get it to within 1 run, but left the potential tying run on base in the 8th.
Jack, this is one of those games as a hitter. You go through a hitter's meeting, and we detailed all of the numbers on our pregame show. Sugano doesn't strike out a lot of people. He also doesn't walk a lot of people, and he throws 92 miles an hour. I'm sure some of the Yankee hitters were saying, wait a second, he was throwing 95 miles an hour, had a little bit more on the heater, and he pitched exactly the way the scouting report would say. He doesn't give in fastball counts, throws all of his off-speed pitches for strikes, but the splitter was better than I think the Yankees expected. The velocity was a little bit better, and they say the first time seeing him, he got us for 5 innings.
Yeah, teams batted over 300 against that splitter. Not tonight, not the case. It was a better pitch. He's the optimal player of the game. Sugano, as we take a look at it. Flash, you said it right from the outset. We're starting to see those low to mid-90s.
Yeah, you're going to see Goldschmidt in the first inning gets overpowered with a 94-mile-an-hour heater up in the zone. Here comes Dominguez. There's that split you were talking about down. Then it's Peraza. He gets caught looking at the two-seamer.
Yeah, we're going to see Sugano is just going to keep on going here. He gets Grisham swinging over the splitter. Then Goldschmidt. Look at the movement on that splitter, tailing inside. Chisholm goes down on 3 pitches. Guess what? That was a splitter as well. Austin Williams, Wells can't lay off of it. And then finally, guys, it's Aaron Judge swinging over that splitter. That's as good a splitter as the Yankees have seen from an opposing pitcher all season.
6 strikeouts on the split, 8 strikeouts overall for Sugano. And, Jack, we mentioned this on the pregame. Of all his 6 pitches, there's a pretty even split between all of them, but he relied heavily on 4, including the sweeper and the splitter, to get some big outs.
Yeah, that splitter was deadly. We just showed you the reason why. And you talk about game planning and scouting for a pitcher. I'm glad Flash talked about what the Yankees said before the game. Let's go all the way back to spring training, though. There was a night game for the Yankees in spring training against the Orioles in Sarasota. Most times when you have a night game in spring training and involves travel, you're not going to take your veterans player. Knowing that they were going to see Sugano, the Yankees loaded up in that game, so several of their players had seen Sugano in spring training, but it didn't manifest with any great results tonight because the splitter he had in spring training wasn't the one he flashed tonight.
Yeah, and spring training obviously is a different animal, but it's an interesting fact that they sent over some of their regulars to get a look at him. But there are always outings like this as a lineup where you have to self-evaluate, say, was it the pitcher against us tonight or was it us? I would say it was the pitcher against them tonight. Again, a lot of off-speed pitches, but there were not a lot of off-speed pitches in the middle of the plate. A good curveball that he was able to backdoor. We talked about the split and just enough velocity on the fastball. I think the Yankees are saying, we'll look forward to facing him again, but he got us tonight. When we get another look at him, it's probably going to be a different story.
Reminds me of something you said on the pregame about them facing Kevin Gausman in that 1 inning he threw 53 pitches. They let him make all the mistakes out of the zone and took the walks. Tonight, they weren't able to do that.
They fouled off a lot of pitches against Gausman as well. That didn't happen with Sugano. You talk about a pitcher being able to dictate what was going to happen in the at-bat. He did that. And, Bob, we mentioned on the pregame how the splitter, though he throws it more than any other pitch, had that batting average of over 300, as you said. That looked like a quality pitch tonight. It looked like a guy who really was fired up to face the Yankees. And you look at how the season has been a disappointment for the Orioles. They're very lucky that have Sugano in their rotation. The rest of their starting pitchers have an ERA of over 6. He's actually been a godsend for a team that's dealing with some injuries.
Let's turn our attention to Will Warren now getting the ball tonight. It's our pitching decisions presented by Sage. And Flash, he got himself out of a nice jam, bottom of the first, with runners at second and third and one out.
Yeah, and it's going to be O'Hearn up at the plate, and he's going to be able to get a heater pretty much right down the middle for strike 3. Then it's going to be Mountcastle, who's really struggling early on, that good sweeper down and away, and you see the emotion from Will Warren pitching out of a big-time jam.
So more trouble bottom of the third, though. He'd walk 2 and then faces O'Hearn again.
And again, you're talking about a sweeper in the middle of the plate. O'Hearn gets it over the wall in right field. The home run bothers you, but what bothers you probably more, the 2 walks before that from the young right-hander.
All right, Warren would bounce back, though. Next batter, Jack, it's almost like he put his foot on the gas again.
Yeah, he came back very strongly. Here we're going to see a nice sinker for a strikeout on Kerstad. Urias is the next batter, and he's going to feature a change right on right there. Ends up striking out the side in an inning where the Orioles took a 4-0 lead. And then in the bottom of the 4th, after this Laureano double, we're going to see the Yankees go to the bullpen. Laureano actually ended up stealing a base as well. They turned to Yarborough, who did a really nice job keeping this game close for the Yankees to mount a rally.
So 3 1/3 for Warren, throws 72 pitches, 6 hits, 4 runs. We had mentioned he'd allowed just 5 earned runs his previous 3 starts. But you saw both sides of the coin, right, Flash, with Will Warren. Some really good stuff and some strikeout stuff, and then times where he walks batters and gets in trouble.
You just said it perfectly. I mean, this is the evolution of a young pitcher and the education for a young pitcher at the major league level. You make a mistake down and in or middle into a left-handed hitter with power at Camden Yards, it's going to cost you. But again, I go back to, he's probably going to be looking at the pitch to O'Hearn. I'd be going back looking at the first 2 hitters of that 3rd inning, walking them, getting himself into his own jam, and then you make one mistake at this level, it could turn into a 3-run home run. There is so much to like when you watch Will Warren. The changeup was a big pitch for him tonight. The sweeper, the velocity on the fastball, you're just waiting for it all to come together, Jack, where he starts gaining that confidence.
A couple of starts ago, he lamented how he felt he was trying to be too fine and trying to make every pitch perfect. I think those 2 walks in the 3rd inning were evidence of that, where you're pitching well. Attack these hitters. Go after these Orioles hitters. Do they have some really good hitters in their lineup? Yes. But they had struggled, lost 6 of their last 7, had been absolutely bludgeoned. Once he loses those 2 batters in the walk, he did try to get O'Hearn with changeups, but he missed with 2 changeups. He says, I'm going to try and throw a little wrinkle in here with the sweeper. The problem is it was probably the worst sweeper that he threw all night, and he ends up paying for it.
Well, let's take our first break here on the WB Mason postgame. A lot more coming up. We're going to hear from Aaron Boone as he meets the media, and Meredith Marakovitz talking about this one as the Yanks rally but fall short 4-3. Stick around.
Strikeouts along the way. What was making him so difficult keeping the guys off balance?
I mean, we pressured him. We had some chances and just couldn't break through on him. I don't think he made the big mistake where, you know, he's got hurt with some slug here in his first few starts, and I didn't really see that miss. You know, he was in and around the edges, and then as he went, I thought his split was really good.
In the bottom of the second, Grisham, typically a fantastic center field. Just did he misread that, or?
Yeah, I think kind of looking at the track of the ball too. I think he thought it was going to fade, like Laureano hit it and it was going to slice, but it kind of cut back on. So I think he just expected it there, and it was kind of cut, so it went more straight over his head.
3rd inning, back-to-back walks for Warren, followed by that home run. Just what were you seeing from him in the 3rd?
Yeah, just, you know, I mean, that's a tough part of the order, obviously. So, you know, those walks obviously hurt him, and O'Hearn, you know, put together a pretty good at bat. I thought Will had really good stuff tonight. I thought his changeup was good. I thought his fastball had as good as life as we've seen. But a mistake there around some walks that obviously ends up hurting.
What do you think of Devin's inning?
Yeah, really good. Just liked his look out there. Was aggressive. in the strike zone, aggressive with his fastball. I thought every changeup he threw, like, pretty good angle from it over there, and my vantage point into the dugout. Like, I like the depth on the pitch, but also establishing his fastball and in the strike zone with it.
Why did you feel like that was a good opportunity to get him back in?
I just felt like I liked that spot for him, and you know, hoping he could hold the line there for us, and obviously he did and gave us a chance there. So, but it was good to see him get out there and have a 1-2-3. Just, I thought he had some real good conviction with every pitch he threw.
The reception that he got in the dugout when he came back, how much do you think that helped him and will help him? Yeah, hopefully. I mean, it's hopefully just little things here that kind of just, you know, kind of get your mojo and get you, remind you darn good you are at this game, and you know, hopefully it's a step in the right direction.
Some of your young pitchers over the years, you've talked about them needing to get that next level of command. Is that something with Warren that's a work in progress? Yeah. I mean, you know, I feel like it's been there in some games where it's really been excellent. But again, you know, he's faced some tough lineups here. You know, I mean, Cleveland threw all those lefties at him. This is a tough left-handed lineup that's tough on right-handed pitching. Again, I thought he did a lot of things. Like, even though, you know, it's only 3+ and he gives up the homer, like, there's a lot of good in there. Like, some really good fastball, really good changeup, got some big outs. But again, the 2 walks in that part of the order where you're in the danger zone, and then a mistake. So hopefully he continues to grow from it.
Well, giving up 4 runs in those first few innings got the Yanks behind the 8 ball, but Jack, they had their opportunities as well.
Yeah, we've praised Sagano throughout this show, and he deserves a lot of praise, but you heard Aaron Boone talk about his team having chances against Sagano and not being able to cash in. It started in the first inning with the bases loaded, and Volpe stepped up, and he ended up grounding out in that situation. Then you fast forward to the 3rd inning. They've got a couple of runners on base. Goldschmidt and Chisholm both end up going down on, guess what, striking out on splitters. So when there were opportunities, Sagano was the one who won those duels and made sure the Yankees did not score early.
Yeah, Aaron Boone also talked about his pass closer, Devin Williams, getting an opportunity in that 8th inning, feeling like it was the right spot for him, and he loved what he did in that inning. I love the fact that Devin Williams came right out with his fastball and said, I'm going to protect my best pitch, which is a changeup. I didn't think the location was still great with that fastball, but it looked like the attitude was, I'm going to come at you with this pitch and protect my changeup. I still think the location can get better. The guys in the booth talked about it. Not in sync, lower body, upper body, you expect that to get better, but getting through a clean inning, you hope maybe that's the first step back for him.
We have to take another break here on the WB Mason postgame. More coming up, game highlights, more reaction as well, as the Orioles hang on to win 4-3 in the opener. Stick around. Game highlights of the opener tonight. Game highlights brought to you by your local Ford stores. And Jack, things got going bottom of the 2nd. Warren on the mound. Heston Kjerstad leading off the inning.
And Kjerstad is going to hit a 107-mile-per-hour bullet, but Jazz Chisholm says to Warren, I got you. Lays out to make the play, steadies his feet, easy throw for the out.
Here's that play flash that Boone was talking about in the 2nd.
Yeah, Laureano drives this to center field. Trent Grisham, the Gold Glover, just gets caught right there. Just can't come up with it. And a strange miscue from Grisham in center field, and the O's get on the board.
Let's move it on to the bottom of the 3rd inning for our turning point of the game, brought to you by Montefiore Einstein, the official hospital of the New York Yankees. And again, 2 walks to the first 2 batters of the inning. Jack brings up the cleanup hitter O'Hearn.
Yeah, and this was an at-bat where we saw Warren try to get O'Hearn with changeups, but look at that sweeper. It bends right inside into a spot where O'Hearn can do some damage. A Yankee fan with the catch and celebrating, but no one else in the Yankee universe is celebrating. They're down 4-0.
Top of the 5th, Yanks thought they had a home run against Sagano.
Yeah, runner at first with 2 outs. Goldschmidt up at the plate, drives a high fastball to center field. Mullins goes back right at the wall and really makes that play look easy. Obviously playing in Camden Yards 81 times a year, he knew exactly where he was. Robs Goldie of a 2-run home run.
Could have been a 4-2 game on to the top of the 7th. 1st and 3rd for Judge, 1 out. grounds a sinker to third. The Orioles will try and turn two, but Judge is going to beat the throw. Good hustle. Cabrera's in. Yanks get on the board. It is 4-1. And then, Jack, 8th inning, they're going to get another with Volpe at the plate.
Yeah, runner on second, 1 out, and Volpe is going to get a 4-seam fastball from Soto and just go the other way with it, drill it down the right field line. Celebrates his 24th birthday with an RBI double and cuts the Yankee deficit to 4-2.
And then his buddy Austin Wells comes up next, and why not go for back-to-back doubles?
Yeah, left on left for Wells, and he rips this ball to right center field. That's going to be an easy double, possible triple as Anthony Volpe scores easily. Austin Wells holds up with a 1-out double. Now it's 4-3 O's.
So keeping it a 1-run game put in the hands of Devin Williams, and we heard Aaron Boone talk about him. Nobody on, 2 outs for Ramon Urias, and he's going to pop one out to Goldschmidt. It's shallow right to end the inning. So a 1-2-3 inning with a strikeout in Williams' first appearance since losing his closer role. And then in the 9th inning, a couple of the big boys were up, Jack, trying to tie this thing up.
Yeah, and the thing that Bautista did against Judge that helped him is he got ahead in the count quickly, and then he's able to dispatch him with that 1-2 splitter. He fell behind Bellinger, actually, 3-0, but then he fought his way back to 3-2. We talked about the velocity. How about 98 up in the zone? That's the final out of the inning as Bautista saves it for the O's.
Just when you think that sinker, that splitter might be coming, it didn't. It was a fastball up. So the Orioles win the opener 4-3, though the Yankees out-hit them 10-8. Yanks go 3 of 11 with runners in scoring position and leave 9 men on base. Let's take another break. When we come back here on the WB Mason postgame, more on Will Warren, and we'll hear from him about tonight's outing, lasting 3 1/3, giving up 4 runs. Stick around. Again on the post game, Yankees lose it 4-3. The pivotal inning coming in the bottom half of the 3rd inning. Will Warren walks the first 2 hitters in the inning, Henderson and Rushman, before giving up that 3-run home run to Ryan O'Hearn. So let's hear from Warren about that in our Genesis Sounds of the Game.
Well, how bothered were you by those 2 walks to start off the 3rd there?
Yeah, I mean, never trying to start off the inning with back-to-back walks, and then obviously O'Hearn did the damage on a pitch that didn't get quite in, so yeah, sucks.
You talk about that pitch to O'Hearn. Are you okay with the pitch selection, just a matter of location there?
Yeah, I'm good with the pitch selection. I think I need to be a little farther in, and the outcome's probably a little different, but just got to execute pitches.
What do you think caused you to lose your command a little bit to start that inning?
Yeah, I don't know if it was as much of losing everything. You know, I think it's 2 back-to-back long innings. Come out there, just trying to make competitive pitches, miss a little bit outside. I think at the end of the day, you just got to force them, you know, to put the ball in play.
How about the first month of your season overall?
Yeah, I mean, it's been up and down. I think it's been kind of a mix of, like, you have some good ones in there, and then you have the Tampa Bay where, you know, I'm falling behind, get pulled for pitches. Tonight, you know, walk the first 2 hitters in the 3rd. I think overall it's just about attacking in the zone.
Well, no doubt about that. Attacking, and whenever we talk about Will Warren, we talk about confident, aggressive. But when you walk the first 2 batters and you're trying to be too fine, you're getting away from that.
Bob, that comment that Will Warren just made is for every young pitcher who's trying to be a big league starting pitcher, being aggressive in the zone. That you have to prove to yourself time and time again that you can get away with mistakes in the middle of the plate. Will Warren, the numbers bear that out. He gets a lot of swings and misses when he throws the ball over the plate. But there's just that mental hurdle that you have to get over when you're a young pitcher. There's so much stuff there to like. When he pitches out of trouble in the 1st inning, he's showing some moxie that he can pitch out of some big jams. He's got the stuff to do it.
Yeah, I thought what he did in the 1st inning was impressive. That game could have been off the rails for him quickly. You go back to that 3rd inning, he threw 72 pitches in this game, and we've talked about it a lot. The pitch he's going to think the most about is the one he talked about there, the sweeper that O'Hearn hit. I understand the logic, and I understand why they went with that pitch. He threw him a sweeper to start off his first at-bat. Then he eventually went hard stuff and struck him out with a fastball. It was about the 11th or 12th pitch that O'Hearn had seen from him. He hadn't seen the sweeper again. It was a perfect time to throw it, but he just didn't execute it. Coming into tonight, guys, he had not allowed a home run at all on the sweeper.
We got to take another break. More coming up here on the WB Mason postgame as we recap the opener. Orioles win it 4-3. Judge with a couple hits in this one. The on-base streak at 25. Saw some nice defense as well. We got more coming up, so stick around. It's presented by Prevagen, made for your brain. And we go back to the bottom of the second and that great defensive play by Jazz Chisholm Jr.
Yeah, Kerstead leading off the inning. A hot shot. Jazz goes to his right, lays out, and then the easy play to make the throw after that. Usually we see Jazz going to his left, making the athletic plays. Tonight, going to his right.
So good defense there. We saw a nice defensive play by Cedric Mullins off the bat of Paul Goldschmidt as well. Orioles win it 4-3. Now let's talk about the bullpen, and in particular Devin Williams and what he was able to do tonight. Aaron Boone got him, Jack, back out there in a one-run game, and he looked very good throwing 14 pitches.
And we were all guilty, Bob, of saying they'd use him in low-leverage spots. This is not a low-leverage spot. This is a one-run game. He gets Mountcastle with the changeup. That's another good changeup that Kerstead hits to Goldschmidt. And then finally, Urias is the third batter of the inning, and he gets him to pop up this fastball that Goldschmidt is able to corral in shallow right field. It's a good first step for Devin Williams, for the Yankees to get back to where they believe he needs to be. I think they need to see more of this, but their goal is to have him back as their closer.
And Flash, what'd you think of the changeup versus the fastball? Because you talked about the fastball kind of getting under it maybe, and maybe not a pitch that hitters would necessarily swing at.
Yeah, I didn't love location on the fastball. I love the fact that he was aggressive with it, but the changeup was excellent tonight. We saw the swing and the miss. We saw the weak ground ball to the right side, but you saw the action that he had turning it over down and away. That's a Devin Williams changeup, but you get swings like that when you set a hitter up and you speed him up with velocity, which he did. Again, the location's going to get better, but I thought the whole mindset was, here I come with my fastball, and I'm going to hold my best pitch, a changeup, for when I need it.
By the way, back to that graphic, I do not want Ryan Yarbrough to get lost in the wash here, because you appreciate that as a catcher and as a teammate, knowing he's keeping you right in that game, keeping the Orioles quiet.
He's getting a lot of handshakes in that clubhouse tonight, because the Yankees did not win this game, but the Yankees did not blow through their bullpen. They are well rested for the next two games. Every guy in the bullpen knows what their role is. Ryan Yarbrough knows exactly what his role is. Usually it's going to be multiple innings. He can get lefties out. He can get righties out. Tonight he was a godsend, keeping it at zeros there in the middle of the game, giving the Yankees a chance to come back. They eventually didn't do it, but he's going to get a lot of handshakes in the clubhouse.
When you have relievers who can come out of the bullpen and give you multiple innings, as you talked about, the value in that for a manager is so vital. Now Aaron Boone can look ahead to tomorrow and have a fresh bullpen. Rodon is on the mound, so they're hoping that he can give them some length, but Yarbrough came in and did a really nice job, faced 13 batters, gave up a couple of hits, walked one, but mostly just subdued the Orioles until the Yankee bats could get percolating a little bit.
All right, you mentioned Rodon taking the mound. Let's take a look at the probables for Game 2, courtesy of Nissan. Our coverage beginning on Yes and the Gotham Sports app at 5:30. It'll be Carlos Rodon going up against Kyle Gibson. Gibson was not signed by the Orioles until March 21st, so he threw a few rehab assignments in the minors. He'll make his season debut tomorrow. As for Rodon, Jack, his last two outings, no earned runs allowed. He's been getting better and better as his starts progress.
We always talk about Carlos Rodon being one of those stoppers for the Yankees. They need him at the top of the rotation to be someone they can rely on. I thought in his last start against Cleveland, the slider was especially good. He had 5 strikeouts on that pitch. The changeup came along for the ride as well. He didn't allow any hits with that pitch. So after the way the Yankee offense didn't figure out Sagano tonight, they would love for Rodon to do the exact same thing to the Orioles. Shut them down tomorrow night so the Yankees can even up this series.
It wasn't too long ago we were sitting at this desk and you and I were talking about Carlos Rodon. Just eliminate that one mistake in a game where he was giving up a 3-run home run because he was throwing the ball beautifully. What has he done his last 2 outings? He hasn't made that mistake in a big spot. That game you're talking about at Cleveland, got himself in a little bit of trouble in the first inning, was able to maneuver his way out of it, and after that he just cruised and made it look easy the rest rest of the way. Nothing's really changed except the fact that he's not making one big mistake that's costing him a long ball and maybe costing him a game.
Well, the Yankees rally but fall short 4-3. We look forward to seeing you for Game 2 when our coverage begins at 5:30 with a batting practice show on Tuesday. 6 o'clock pregame, first pitch a little after 6:30. Yankees looking for the bounce back. We look forward to seeing you again on Tuesday night. Until then, take care.
いかがでしたか？菅野投手はスプリングトレーニングでヤンキース打線に見せた投球と一味違うものを今回披露しました。特に内側に曲がるスプリッターの動きは見事で、ヤンキースの強力打線も手も足も出なかったようです。実はオリオールズのシーズンが期待外れな中、菅野投手は救世主的存在になっているとも言われています。今後の活躍にも期待が高まりますね。この動画が面白かったと思った方はチャンネル登録、高評価お願いいたします。ご視聴ありがとうございました。